Hello, this is Teresa and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a twist up easel card to show you. I will be starting out by using a background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Kaleidoscope and it is a very gorgeous detailed background stamp. I'm inking it up with some Versamark and then I will be adding some gold detail embossing powder and heat setting that to create the first part of the card. Now, I'm going to put up these reminders when I'm switching between the watercolor paper and Neenah, since I'm using white in both and it can get a little bit confusing as we move on through this. So now I'm adding the detail gold embossing powder. I'm heat setting it, and like I said, I'm still working on the watercolor paper at this point, and you'll see what I mean as I move along. Now I've switched to Neenah Solar White. I've cut it to a 5x10 piece, scored it in half, and now I'm going to be adding the score line, and careful to note that I'm scoring from the top right corner to the bottom left corner to create the twist up easel part of it. And I'm erasing a pencil line I drew there temporarily. And I'm going to make sure to get a really good crease by using a bone folder to really press down on that. And now you can see what's going to form the easel card. The next step in this process is to create a window. So I'm using a My Favorite Things die cut and running it through the machine. And when I'm done, I will have a window in the front of the card. And I will be attaching the front of it to a portion of this later. Now I'm moving on to embossing a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock. And now I'm back to the watercolor paper. I'm spraying a little bit of water in the pans of the Ganzi Tombai watercolors, and I'm going to add some clean water all over the panel before adding the color. All I'm using as far as the color combination is the green colors in the palette, and I'm just applying them randomly all over the background in a very loose and messy fashion. And as I add a little bit more color, I decided that was enough color for it, and I attempted to move it around. That didn't work so well, so I sprayed a little more water onto it, and then it moved a little more freely for me. Then I set it aside to dry for a while. Now I'm moving back to the Neenah Solar White, and I'm cutting a circle out of the center of it. I've drawn a 5-inch square around that circle, and I am trimming off the outside edges. I'm going to repeat this process for another piece just like it because I want one to cover the back of it whenever I sandwich the acetate in between, which you'll see shortly. Now I'm just lining up the inside panel to make sure that it's going to show through the center the way that I want it to. I'm drawing pencil marks so I know where to trim that off. Now it's time to glue the colored panel onto the inside of the card. I'm using liquid glue so that I can get it positioned just right. And now I'll begin the process of creating the front of the card. I'm using the heat resistant acetate because I'm going to heat emboss on this, and it can do so without any warping or melting. So I'm positioning the sentiment that I'm using over top of the heat resistant acetate, and I just temporarily put the panel over it so that I could get the placement correct. And now that I have gotten that part of it done, I'm going to sandwich that acetate between the two die cut pieces with the hole cut. So first I'm putting the front side on, and then I will add the back of it. And if I have anything that is hanging off of the edge, I'll just trim that off before adhering it to the front of the card. Now I'm moving on to attaching that panel to the front, and I have to be very careful at this point to just apply the adhesive to the bottom and the right hand side so that the easel will function correctly. And I'm using Tombow Extreme adhesive to do this part of it. So now that that's ready, I'm going to put some of the finishing touches on the card. I'm adding some gold vellum hearts that I punched out. I am now die cutting a piece of green felt to which I will be adding some sequins in order to embellish it and create something to hold the easel up whenever the card is standing up. And if you're hearing some background noise, my dogs are getting a little bit playful in the background, so sorry about that. Anyway, I am adhering the sequins onto the heart so that I will have a stop for when I have the easel standing up so it can stand up on its own. Now I'm adhering the two flowers. I used liquid glue on the top one, and I'm using some foam tape on the bottom one. I had to go back and trim the foam tape because I had gotten it a little bit too thick and it was showing out from under the flower. And now I'm going to glue on the vellum gold hearts. Once that's done, I'm going to move to adding the stop on the inside of it. And I'm using hot glue for this because it's an instant bond, and I don't use hot glue for much of anything in card making, but this is one of those exceptions. And as you'll see, I had it peeking out of the side and I had to go back and reposition it. And this is the finished card whenever it is closed. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video today. I hope you will give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, supplies are linked below. Thank you very much for watching.